The slave ship docked just after sunset. It was an old, rusty thing, covered in dents and strange alien markings. The crowd gathered near the black market platform, eyes sharp, pockets ready. Traders, criminals, and buyers all waited for one thing: fresh cargo. The cages rolled out first. Inside them were beings from many worlds. Some looked angry, some looked broken, others had no emotion left. Then one cage stopped the crowd. Inside stood a tall alien girl. Her skin was light purple, glowing slightly under the yellow lights. Her silver hair was tied back in a rough knot. Her body was thin, but her back was straight. She did not cry.
Ow.
She did not scream. She only stared forward, silent, calm, proud. The trader smacked the bars. This one, fresh and clean. Strong bloodline, no damage. Speak, girl. The girl lifted her head and said in a soft voice, "I want you to be my master." The crowd laughed. A big man shouted, "Look at her. She talks like a doll." Another added, "No thanks. That one's cursed. Too proud." "Not fun?" the trader growled. "Fine. Half price for this one. Take her before I toss her in the scrap." Still, no one stepped forward, until a young man from the back walked closer. His name was Elias Rowe, a repair tech from a small mining colony. He wasn't rich, wasn't strong, just someone who knew how to fix broken things. But when he saw her, he stopped. He didn't see a slave. "I saw something else." "What's her story?" Elias asked quietly. The trader rolled his eyes. "Old noble blood, captured years ago. Obedient now, no trouble. She says what you tell her. Good for company, cleaning maybe more." Elias looked at her. She didn't move. Her big glowing eyes stared into his. "What's your name?" Elias asked. She answered like a machine, "Zairi. Do you want to go with me? I want you to be my master." But Elias heard no feeling in her words. No hope. Just programming, like someone would learn to say the right thing to survive. He touched the scanner on the trader's pad. "I'll take her." The crowd laughed again. What's he going to do with a sad alien toy? The collar on Ziri's neck beeped and unlocked. She looked confused, but followed Elias quietly. No chains, no force. Just quiet steps down the long hallway. Elias led her to his small ship, old but clean. He opened the door and said, "You're safe now." She blinked. "But I was bought. I belong to you." "No," Elias said. "You don't belong to anyone. You're not property." She stared at him like he had spoken another language. "I don't understand," she whispered. "You don't need to." "Not yet," Elias said. "Just sit. Rest." Zairi sat slowly, her movements unsure. She looked around the small room. Tools on the wall. A small bed. No locks. "Do I sleep here?" she asked. Double quotes. "Yes. And you take the bed. I'll use the floor." She looked down. "I'm not used to that." Elias opened a pack and handed her water and a protein bar. She took it, holding it like it was a treasure. "Eat," he said. She bit slowly, chewing like someone who had forgotten how food worked. Her eyes never left his face. "You're strange," she finally said. "I get that a lot," Elias replied. Later that night, she didn't take the bed. She sat in the corner, knees to chest, blanket wrapped around her. Elias didn't force her. He just dimmed the lights and worked on a broken circuit board. After a long silence, she asked, "Why did you take me?" He didn't stop working, "Because no one else saw you." "I did," she didn't reply. But her eyes stayed open all night. She had been passed from hand to hand, used, trained, silenced. But now, someone had said the words she thought she'd never hear, "You're not property." And somehow, that broke something deeper than any chain ever could. Zairi woke before the lights turned on. She had not truly slept. Her body rested, but her mind stayed alert, waiting for a command, a voice, a punishment. But none came. She looked around. The ship was quiet. Elias was asleep, sitting in the co-pilot chair, arms crossed, head tilted back. He wasn't watching her. He wasn't guarding her. It left the door open. She could walk out if she wanted. Zari sat still for a long time. No chains, no orders. It was strange. She stood up slowly and walked toward the small mirror above, the sink. Her face looked pale, her eyes tired. She leaned closer. She touched her neck. The collar mark was still there, red and faint, like a shadow. She hated that mark. Not because of the pain, but because it reminded her of who she was supposed to be. But now, she didn't know what she was. Footsteps. Elias stirred and looked at her. "You're up early," Zari turned quickly. "I didn't touch anything." "I know," he said, rubbing his eyes. "I wasn't worried." Zari didn't understand that either. Elias stood, walked to a cabinet and pulled out a small box, found some clothes that might fit. "They're old but clean." Zari hesitated. "You want me to wear these?" "No," Elias said. "Can wear them if you want to. It's your choice." Choice. That word didn't belong in her world. Slaves didn't get choices. But she took the clothes and walked to the other room. She came out wearing a simple tunic and leggings. Nothing fancy. But for the first time in years, she didn't feel like a product. She looked like someone. Elias handed her a warm drink. "Tastes like mud, but it helps you think." She took a small sip. It was bitter, strange, but warm. "You don't talk much," he said. Zari looked down. "Slaves are punished for speaking without permission." "Oh, I'm not going to punish you," Elias said, sitting across from her, "and you're not a slave here." Zari's hands trembled. "I don't know how to not be one." "That's okay," he said softly. "We'll take it slow." They sat in silence for a while. Outside the window, stars drifted by, far away from the markets, far from the chains. "Why do you live alone?" Zari asked. Elias smiled. "People talk too much." She tilted her head. "But you're kind." "That's why I left." He said, "Too many unkind people." Zari's eyes softened. "Me too." Stood. "Want to learn how to fly this thing?" She blinked. "Fly?" "Yeah, you've never piloted a ship?" Zari shook her head. "Well then," he said with a grin, "today you learn." He led her to the control panel. His hands showed her the levers, the buttons, the screens. At first, she just watched. Then, slowly, she placed her hands on the controls. Her fingers shook. "It's okay," Elias said. "Just breathe." She took a breath. "A real one?" "Not a fearful one." And then for the first time since she was taken, Zari smiled. Just a little. Just for a second. But Elias saw it. "That's it," he said. Later that day she asked, "Why didn't you take someone else?" "You mean, at the market?" "There were others. Stronger, cheaper." Elias looked at her. "Because they didn't look back at me like you did. You weren't just surviving. You were fighting." Zari lowered her gaze. "I was tired of being invisible." "Well," he said, sipping his drink, "you're not invisible anymore." She looked outside again. The stars were so bright, so far. "Where are we going?" she asked. Elias shrugged. "Wherever you want." Zari laughed, a soft sound, like wind through glass. "I don't even know what I want." "Then let's find out." As night came, Zari sat on the bed, staring at her hands. Elias passed by, heading to his chair. She looked at him. "Can I ask something?" "Sure." "When you said I'm not property, did you mean it?" "Yes." "Then who am I?" Elias thought for a moment. "You're Zari, not a slave, not a thing. You're someone who deserves to breathe, live, and decide who she wants to be." Zari looked at her hands again, and for the first time in a long time, they felt like her own. The engine hum was soft, like a lullaby in space. Elias had gone to fix a faulty relay under the hull, leaving Zari alone inside the ship. It was the first time she had ever been left unsupervised in a room, and trusted. She walked slowly, touching the walls. Each part of the ship had something strange: wires, tools, blinking lights. But none of it frightened her. What frightened her was freedom. She entered a storage room in the back. Dust floated in the air. Boxes sat untouched for years. She found a small mirror again and next to it, a broken music player. Her fingers traced the player's edge. Curiosity stirred in her chest, a feeling she hadn't known since childhood. The machine turned on with a crackle. A voice came through, but not music. It was a recording. A girl's voice. "If you hear this, it means I didn't make it out.
Ow!
But don't cry for me. Just promise me you'll never let them take your name." Zairi froze. The voice was shaky. Scared, but strong. Like her, she played the message again. Don't let them rename you. Don't become what they want you to be. Keep your name. Keep your soul. Zairi sat down, eyes wet. She clutched her arms tightly, whispering her name. Like a shield, Zairi, Zairi. The door creaked open behind her. Elias walked in, wiping grease from his hands. "Didn't mean to scare you." She turned slowly. "This voice, it's from another slave." He nodded. "I found that player in an old wreck. She recorded it before her ship was seized." "Did she survive?" Elias paused. "I don't." No, Zairi looked down, but she remembered her name. "Yeah," he said softly. "She did." Zairi closed her eyes. "They tried to take mine. The traders, the buyers. Every time I was sold, they gave me a new one. Flower pet. Number 9. I forgot my real name once. Then one night I scratched it into my skin just to remember." She pulled back her sleeve and showed a faint scar on her arm, old, healed, but still there. "I wrote it in my blood." Elias knelt in front of her, didn't speak. He just placed his hand gently over the scar, as if protecting it. "You survived more than most," he said. "I didn't live," she whispered. "I just existed. But now you're living." Zairi didn't answer. Test hurt. Not from fear, but from something unfamiliar. A pressure inside, like something locked away, was waking up. That night, she couldn't sleep. Her thoughts kept circling the voice. The girl in the recording, the name, the memory. She stepped outside onto the docking ramp, staring at the stars. Wind from a nearby station fan blew across her face, and she spoke not to Elias, not to herself, but to the sky. "I am Zairi, daughter of Alira. I was born on the moon city of Saren. They burned it, they took me, but they didn't win. I'm still here." Behind her, Elias watched silently. He didn't interrupt. Zairi turned. "Why did you never ask where I'm from?" Elias shrugged. "'Cause I figured you'd tell me." When you were ready, she walked toward him. Her steps were steady. "Stronger. I think I want to remember. I want to know who I was before they broke me, and we'll find out together," she smiled. "Together? Yeah," he said. "You're not alone anymore." Later, Zairi sat by the window, writing with a stylus. Her letters were slow, careful. She was writing her own name again and again like she was carving herself back into the world. ZZ Zaire Xerox. One looked stronger than the last, in the dark room. The music player crackled again. The voice repeated its final words. "Don't let them rename you. Not become what they want you to be." Zairi looked at the screen, then at her own handwriting. She wasn't what they wanted. She was becoming something else. Someone new. Someone. Real asterisk Zairi stood before the ship's main viewport, watching a field of broken satellites drift across space. Some looked like dead birds, their wings torn. Others floated silently, spinning like forgotten prayers. Elias called this place the Graveyard Orbit, a dumping ground for old machines, fallen probes, and lost signals. But for Zairi, it felt like something else. "Aren't we wasting fuel?" she asked. Elias leaned against the wall, arms crossed. "Maybe, but sometimes we need to go to the past to find our future." Zairi looked at him, unsure. "What are we looking for?" "Not." "What?" Elias said. "Who?" He flicked a switch, and the scanner lit up. A weak signal pulsed across the screen, faint, almost gone. But there, Zairi tilted her head. "Is that a distress beacon?" "Yeah," Elias said. "It's been looping for 17 years. I've passed by before, but never close enough to trace it." She leaned closer to the screen. It's from... Sarah and Elias nodded. I thought you'd want to hear it. He tapped a button. A weak, broken voice filled the room, speaking in a language Zairi hadn't heard in years. Her hands shook. Her knees felt weak. That's my mother's voice. Elias. Turned to her. Are you sure? Zairi closed her eyes. Yes. I remember that lullaby. She sang it when I was scared. The voice played again, repeating the same line. A soft melody. No words, just comfort. Zairi dropped into the chair, silent tears falling. She's alive. She whispered. Elias didn't answer. He knew better than to break the moment. After a long silence, Zairi looked up. Can we follow it? Elias smiled. That's why I brought us here. They adjusted the course, guiding the ship through a maze of space junk. Zairi took the controls, her hands still shaking but determined. They followed the signal too. A small pod hidden in a magnetic cloud was old, scorched and barely holding together. A beacon blinked at the top, still alive, like a heartbeat refusing to stop. Z-Y-R, I gasped. That's a Serani escape pod. Elias brought the ship. Close and locked the pod in with magnetic clamps. Pressure's stable. We can open it. Inside it was empty, no bodies, just a necklace, hanging from a hook, with a crystal shaped like a crescent moon. Zairi touched it gently. My mother wore this. It's hers. On the floor, an old data chip blinked. Elias picked it up. Might still work. Back on the ship, they connected the chip to the terminal. A hologram flickered to life. A woman appeared, tall, graceful, with silver hair like Zairi's. Her voice filled the room. To whoever finds this, my name is Alira of Seren. If my daughter is out there, know that I never stopped searching for you. They took you from my arms. I couldn't stop them, but I survived. I escaped. I left this message in hope. Please remember your name. Zairi covered her mouth, falling to her knees. Mama, the message continued. If you are alive, then they failed to erase you. You are more than chains. You are my child, my star, my Zairi. The hologram faded. Elias knelt beside her. He didn't speak. He just held her hand. Zairi's voice shook. She's alive. Somewhere she's alive. Then we'll find her, Elias said. I promise. The first time in her life, Zairi felt something new. Not just freedom, not just hope, but identity. She wasn't just a rescued slave. She was someone's daughter. She was Zairi of Seren that night. She took a sharp tool from the toolkit and walked to the ship's outer wall. Slowly, carefully, she carved something into the metal. When Elias found her there, he saw what she had written. Zairi, daughter of Alira, not Prope. He smiled. That's going to stay there forever. You know? That's the point, she said. She looked at the stars beyond the window. I want the universe to remember me, she whispered. Even if they erase every file, every record, this will remain. Elias nodded. Etched in stars. The ship was quiet, too quiet. Zairi sat near the control screen, watching the blinking that marked her mother's signal trail. It was weak, but constant. Somewhere out there, Alira lived. Somewhere her mother was still waiting, but as Elias adjusted their course, a second signal appeared. Not a beacon, a ship, and it was following them. Do you recognize it? Zairi asked. Elias narrowed his eyes. Yeah, that's a tracker class. Syndicate design. It's built for slave runs. Her chest tightened. They found us. Elias nodded slowly. We're not in friendly space anymore. They probably tagged you the moment I bought you in case you tried to escape. Zairi's voice dropped. They want to take me back. Not happening, Elias said. He didn't panic. He didn't shout. He simply started powering up systems, shields, weapons, silent mode. Zairi stood beside him. I won't go back in chains. You won't, Elias said. But we can't outrun them. Not in this rust bucket. We need to outsmart them. How? He gave a crooked smile. Let's teach them something. The tracker ship was fast. It closed in within hours. Its voice came through the cum. Cold and cruel. Attention stolen property. Identify yourself. Return to custody or face termination. Zairi stepped forward, her voice sharp. I am not property. I am Zairi of Saren. A pause. Then laughter crackled through the cums. Well, the doll speaks. We'll enjoy rewiring your brain again. Elias muted the line. Enough of that. He turned to Zairi. We have to. Minutes before they hit our shields. Ash! If they board us, they'll take you. So we make sure they don't. Zairi looked at the control panel. Her hands moved quickly now, more confident. She had trained with Elias every day since he freed her. Now her training would be tested. Diverting power to engines, she said. Dropping decoy beacon, engaging magnetic dust cloud. Elias smiled. Look at you. You're flying like a ghost. Their ship vanished into the darkness. The syndicate vessel fired wide, then slowed. They couldn't see through the thick field of broken debris, the same orbit where Zairi had found her mother's pod. Zairi whispered. Let's hide in her memory. They drifted into a dead satellite, cutting all external power from outside. They were just another piece of junk. Inside, their hearts pounded. Elias checked the scanner. The enemy ship slowed. Dot, then stopped. They know we're close, he said, but they can't see us. Zairi stared at the ship's silhouette outside the window. They used to lock me in dark boxes when I disobeyed. Elias looked at her. I stayed silent so long, she said, voice trembling, but not now. She stood and opened the emergency panel. What are you doing? Elias asked. They want a slave, she said. Let's give them a trap. She pulled out a small black box, an old signal disruptor, legal tech, crude, dangerous, but powerful. If I launch this near their sensor array, it'll fry their system, she said. Elias blinked. You sure? She nodded. They taught me how to disable minds. I learned how to disable machines too. They worked fast. Elias launched the drone pod. Zairi attached the disruptor. Then they waited. Fingers crossed. Breath held. It flew. Through the debris, quiet and cold. Then a flash. The enemy ship jolted. Lights flickered. Elias shouted, They're blind. Let's run. Their ship jumped forward, cutting through metal, fire, and silence. Behind them, the syndicate ship spun out of control, its navigation system screaming. They didn't stop. They didn't look back. Only when the stars cleared did Zairi exhale. We did it, she whispered. Elias sat back. You did it. Zairi's hands trembled again, but this time from adrenaline, not fear. She looked down at her reflection in the control panel. I was afraid they'd catch me again, afraid I'd break. But you didn't, Elias said. You fought. Zairi turned to him. You didn't rescue a weak girl, Elias. You rescued someone who was only waiting for the moment to fight back. He smiled. I can see that now. As the stars opened before them, Zairi reached for the map again. Let's keep following the trail, she said. To your mother, to my people, to myself. She leaned back in the chair, her voice calm but steady. They tried to erase me. I'll write myself into the stars. Asterisk, a deep, rhythmic beeping echoed through the ship. Not loud, but sharp. Elias leaned over the console, eyes fixed on the scanner. Zairi stood behind him, gripping the edge of the chair. Is that? He nodded slowly. It's the same frequency as your mother's pod, but stronger. Zairi's heart jumped. It's her. He had followed weak traces for days, across old trade routes, through dead zones, past the reach of any map. But this was alive. I'm setting a course, Elias said. 15 minutes out. Zairi didn't sit. She paced, fists clenched, breath shallow. Talk to me, Elias said, not looking away from the screen. I don't know what I'll say, Zairi whispered. If it's her... What do I say? Oh, I'm not a slave anymore. Elias chuckled softly. You say whatever you need to. She's your mother. Zairi nodded, but the knot in her chest didn't loosen. Minutes passed. Then silence, no beeping. No trace. The signal was gone. Ziri's chest tightened. Where did it go? Elias scanned the area. We're close. Too close. Either the source was moved, or it was shut down. Ziri ran to the viewport. She saw wasn't a planet or a pod. It was a derelict station, half hidden behind a shattered moon. Its lights were off. Its orbit was unstable. Elias cursed under his breath. They're using a dead station to broadcast a fake signal. Could be bait. Ziri's eyes narrowed. Or it could be her. Can't risk docking without knowing what's inside, he said. Ziri stared at the station. We've come too far to turn back. Elias sighed. All right. We do this smart, quiet, and fast. No open channels. They approached in stealth mode, lights off, engines low. The docking latch hissed as it sealed to the old port. Inside, the station was cold and dark, walls cracked, vents broken. It smelled. Like metal and dust and old fear, Ziri walked ahead, light in hand. While Elias covered their back, the silence was heavy. But something called her forward, like a memory too strong to forget. A door opened to a control room. Broken chairs. Dead screens. One terminal blinked, the only working thing in the room. Zur? Wire I approached it. A voice whispered through a speaker, soft, weak and fading. Zuri, if you're hearing this, I'm sorry. She froze. Elias moved beside her, shocked. That's her. That's Alira. Ah! The recording continued. I was here. I waited as long as I could, but they came. They're hunting anyone who escaped the breeding farms. They want us erased. Zveri's knees gave out. She fell to the floor, tears in her eyes. You must live, Ziri. You must become more than what? They made you. And if you find Elias Rowe, trust him. He saved me once. Elias blinked. She knew me. Ziri looked up. He knew her. He shook his head. I don't remember. But I used to run rescue missions long ago. Maybe she was one of them. The message glitched, then returned. Don't search the past too long, child. Build something new. Something free. I love you. The recording stopped. Ziri pressed her hands to the terminal. She's not here. Elias placed a hand on her shoulder. But she left a path. Suddenly, alarms blared. A red light blinked on the wall. Intruder alert override activated. Elias's eyes widened. We triggered a trap. Run! Ziri shouted. They sprinted down the hallway as the station groaned around them. Doors slammed shut. Lights flickered. The whole place was rigged, not just as a beacon, but a prison. Elias shoved a side panel open. Back route maintenance tunnel. They crawled through the tight space, wires sparking around them. The heat grew worse. Fire alarms roared. Gas hissed from cracked pipes. Ziri's hands bled from sharp metal. Elias pulled her forward. Almost there. The end hatch opened. They dove through, back into the ship, just as the tunnel behind them exploded. The ship launched away. Engines firing at full burn. The station behind them collapsed in silence, then vanished in a bright, controlled implosion. Back inside, Ziri sat on the floor. She's not dead, she whispered. She planned that. She made it look like the end. Elias sat beside her, breathing hard. She's alive. Somewhere else, waiting for the right time. Ziri leaned her head against the wall. She wanted me to live, to build something better. Elias looked at her. What do you want to build, Ziri? She looked at her wounded hands. Then at the stars outside, a voice, a world, future, where no one has to beg to be human again. The stars outside the viewport seemed endless, cold, distant, but full of promise. Ziri stood alone in the control room, her hands steady on the console. The journey had changed her, not just inside, but deep down where fear once lived. She was not a slave. She was not just a name carved in metal. She was herself. Elias entered quietly, holding 2 cups of steaming tea. He offered one to her. Thinking about what comes next, yes, Ziri nodded. I don't want to be a symbol, not a star. Just me. He smiled gently. That's harder than it sounds. She took the cup, warming her hands. Oh my. Life, they tried to shape me, to make me a thing, a tool, a slave. Even now I feel that pull. Elias sat beside her. But you're stronger than that. I hope so. The ship's hum filled the silence. Zairi spoke again. I want to find my mother, to tell her I'm free. You will, Elias promised. But freedom isn't just being unchained. It's finding peace. She looked out at the stars again. Do you ever regret saving me? She asked quietly. No, he said firmly. You saved me too. Her eyes met his. How? When? I saw you, silent and proud. I realized what I was missing. Hope. You taught me to believe again. Zairi smiled, a real one, full of warmth. Suddenly, the ship's come beeped. A signal. Zairi's heart quickened. Elias tapped the screen. It's a message. From Saren. Zairi's breath caught. The screen flickered, showing a woman's face. Aged but radiant. Ziri, the woman said softly. I'm Elira. Tears streamed down Ziri's cheeks. Your mother? Elias whispered. Elira smiled. I've waited years to say this. You are free, you are loved. And you belong with those who fight for the light. Ziri's voice shook. I'm coming home. The message ended, but hope stayed. Later, in the quiet of the ship, Ziri looked. At her reflection, no longer just a slave or a star, just a girl who had found her voice and her future.